safe space. We ain't never give a reason you should hide. Compile all your questions, we're taking the quest. Join Tarcia on this journey to discover the rest. Go.
Welcome to the Adoption Journey Podcast. I am your host, Tarcia Smith, and welcome back to another week and another journey. Before we get started, let me go ahead and mention that Black Adoptees Meetup is, we're meeting in Chicago this year, October 3rd through the 5th. So make sure you go and register because the registration is going to close very soon. And then, of course, my page, the Adoption Journey Podcast, y'all go follow, like, subscribe, do all the things. You already know what to do. All right. Okay. We got all that out of the way. Family. This conversation today is going to be real different. I can't even start off with my favorite question because it doesn't apply here. So let me introduce, I'm not even going to butcher your last name, Jackson, and say the last name for me. Terkeurst. Jackson Terkeurst.
Yeah, Terkeurst.
Terkeurst.
Yep.
See, I'm not even going to try and say it no more.
You did
I'm
great.
done.
You did great.
It's going to be
did
Jackson.
great.
Moving
That's
forward.
Right. Jackson's great with me too. I take that.
Jackson is from Liberia. And so my first question for you is, what do you remember growing up in Liberia?
Well, growing up in Liberia, I grew up in a small remote village outside of Monrovia, the capital of Liberia.
Okay.
And I grew up to a very, very simple family. We were farmers. We lived very local and didn't have access to any telephone or radio, any of these things. So we were very remote. And I grew up very poor, financially poor. We had no money in our village and we were just farmers, just living there. And but the good thing about that is that we were very rich in community. We're rich in community. We look out for each other. We help each other out. We knew each other by name. Families knew families. You know, that's how we did life.
Okay.
And life was like that until one night, my poor village was attacked by rebels.
What year was this?
I don't recall the year, but I remember I was about 7 years old.
Okay.
I was about 7 years old when this happened, and this forced me to leave my village and ran into the depth of the jungle with my auntie, where we lived for several months, surviving and basically living like the animals out there.
So, okay,
until,
I got to jump in. So you left and then went into the jungle with your auntie. Like, how many siblings did you have? Were your parents with you?
Yeah, so I have about 7 or 8 siblings, I believe, that I know of.
Okay.
In there, but we live in 2 different villages. So I live in Fulblight, which is much deeper into the jungle area, and then my dad also have a village. He lived up the street about maybe 10 miles away from me with my other siblings. So in Africa, it's like that. We don't live in one house all the time. We go split up in different areas, and we'll meet up from time to time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So it was me and my aunt in the house when that happened, and then she grabbed me and threw me on her back, and then we ran into the jungle. And looking back, we saw our house being burned down, the village being burned down, dead bodies scattered, the ground everywhere, and women screaming for the children. And I mean, these rebel guys were like literally going out there and raping the women and the young girls. I mean, molesting them. And we were also in shock about what in the world just happened. Where did these guys come from? We did nothing to them. You know, we were just villagers living here, very poor, very simple.
Right.
And you come and attack us, and we haven't attacked you. You know, nothing. It was just so shocking for us.
That sounds like a movie.
Yeah, my movie.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh. So how long do you and your aunt, do you roughly know about how long you stayed out in the jungle?
We were there for a long time, as long as possible, because the reason being is like the war was ongoing, and you can hear bullets, you can hear grenades from afar. Though we're in the jungle, you can still hear everything. And
And for those
those
that don't, and this is for the listeners, he's talking about the Liberian Civil War. Am I correct? Okay.
Yes, yeah, the Liberian Civil War that happened long time ago, a few years ago back, I think. But when we were in that in the jungle, she and I, we couldn't even make any fire or make any food because if the rebels saw any smoke signal from the sky, they would
Right.
literally come to where that
Oh
smoke
my,
is
that's
and to
so.
find out who's over there, what's happening there.
Y'all are literally just in the jungle, just trying to
L-
survive.
Literally in the jungle and trying to sleep anywhere, everywhere, making our own beds out of
So, you know
bamboos
what I
and
just thought about?
everything.
You're 7. So there's no school going on. There's no
Oh no,
education going on. You're just trying
no.
to survive.
I'm
Wow.
just trying to survive. School isn't even in the back of my mind.
Right.
Nothing else is in the back of my mind besides surviving what is at hand because it was very, very, very brutal. I mean, just imagine like living your life peacefully. One night chaos just
Chaos.
struck.
Right.
It just come at you. So you don't have time to think about school or your friend or this or that. You think about surviving. You think about family. You think about, oh my gosh, what just happened? You
So,
know?
okay, so you're in the jungle. Then what, how do you leave the jungle? Like, what happens that do you escape? Do you think, like, what happens next? I need
Yeah,
some
that's a great
popcorn.
question. Get you a popcorn with extra butter. I would say what happened next is pretty wild because we were there for a while, in the jungle, and my auntie was like, "Hey, you know what? We haven't heard much of bullets and grenades and gunfire, so let's go ahead and try to go to your dad's village and see if your dad is still at the village, and we can hang out with the other family at dad's village." And I said, "Oh, that's a great idea." And then we walked several miles. I mean, it was like long, like it took a long time to get, almost a whole day. And by the time we got there were already rebels, who was already occupying the town already, my dad's village already. But they was not doing any harm yet because it was in the daytime. They were just getting like they were passing through and just threatening people that they were going to do something. But my mom, my dad, and my other siblings did not run off. We stayed back because we got nowhere else to go. That's our home,
Okay, hold on.
you
So when you
know.
get there, do you locate your dad?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
my
okay,
dad was there.
okay.
Yeah, my dad was there. My brother was there. My older brother was there, and my other siblings were there, and my aunties, like my other extended family, was there also. But they were just like we were on the side of the woods, just literally ready to run. It's something sparks.
Okay, so let
Um,
me, for myself and the listeners, let me just, because you were in one village with one group of family, you left with
mhm.
your aunt, now you're with another set of family. Am I correct?
That's
So
right.
the
That's right.
the set that you fled from, you haven't seen them.
I haven't seen them. I don't know where they're at.
Okay,
So in the back of my mind, they're dead, they're
okay,
gone. Because on my way out, like when we're running from my village, the first village, there were so much dead bodies laying around.
and you're
And afterwards,
seven,
yeah, oh yeah.
seven.
Can you imagine that?
No, you know what I was doing. I was 7. Not this.
Not this. And what's even wilder is that whenever we were trying to escape into the thick of the jungle, my other friend who lived right next to our hut, our house, it was a hut actually, but he was running with us to come with us, and he got shot in the back, by one of the other rebels, and his eye just grew big and he dropped. And I kind of started to look back like that, but then I kept running, trying to help him, but I couldn't help him because the rebel was coming around the corner he was ready to shoot anything and everybody he saw. So my auntie and I just dove into the jungle, into the bush. I mean, thorns. My skin is cut. I got marks on my skin everywhere from that still. But anyways, fast forward when I got to my dad's village, these guys were there hanging out. But then the general showed up, and all of a sudden, like they got really mad and angry, and then they asked for who is the man in charge, and obviously it was my dad because he was the town chief.
Mm.
He was the man in charge, and they grabbed him, and then they started to go into the house to take everything we had in the house. We didn't have much, food or greens. And I remember my dad had a barrel where he kept photos and documents for us, his children. And those guys came there and they grabbed our barrel and it took all the money my dad had, grabbed the photos and the documents and burnt it
Mm.
to the ground. And started to, hit my dad, beat my dad, and then grab my brother, grab my cousin, and threw them in the truck with them. Um, and at that time, my dad yelled to us like to run. He said, "Guys, I need you to run to go hide, because he's our protector, and he's being,
Sure.
taken advantage of.
Right.
So there's no one else to protect her because he's being taken away." And then we started running the woods, and then the guys started shooting guns um, at us. But before that happened, the rebels actually had some dead bodies in their truck that they had with them, and they started to open the bodies, and I'm standing there watching them take out the intestines of the body and using that as a rope for the checkpoint. And then we'll cut the bodies, the neck, the head off, and then we'll put it on the pole over here and the pole over here, and use the intestines as a gate. So if you
Do
could,
you see
so
the
as
look
a
on my
warning
face right now?
sign.
I just what? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh! And the only thing I keep thinking is you're this little boy witnessing all of this violence and this gruesome. My God.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
And that's talk about trauma.
Sh-
That's kind of,
That's a whole
how
nother
my
level of trauma.
yes, it really was. And I mean, I've been scared ever since I was a child. I was always scared, and every time I see anybody with like army, like someone with military gear, I get
Oh,
scared. I see someone with a
triggers.
gun, I get scared.
Yeah.
If I see a cop pulls me over, I literally start shaking and shivering because I feel like that person gonna try to kill me. So those were some fears I lived with, but that's kind of how my life started, as a young boy.
Okay. Okay, so this is you're starting, you're running, you're on the run. And
Hmm.
do you ever find that other group, that other, like, do you know what happened? So,
No, so what happened was, I mean, we got chased and we all split up,
right.
into the woods. We went different way. I went different way, and I ended up going toward another town, which is in Banga. It's like a little city where my uncle lives at, and my older uncle Jerry lives at. So we have a family house there. So I figured that, my mom, my sister, my aunt, they're all gone, and my dad is gone. So just me in the woods now. So all I thought about was my uncle, who is still alive. And I'm this kid like running from rebels in the jungle. And
Hold on, let me ask you a question because this just came in my mind. How are you? Because in my mind, you're like this brave little warrior boy, but you're really this little boy
yeah,
that's just on the constant flee, just trying to stay alive.
I was.
So as a kid, like in your mental, I don't know if you can remember or not, like what has to click on for you to be like, I just gotta stay alive? That's,
Well, I mean, I wasn't even thinking, to be honest. I just want to be alive. I know I didn't want to die. And
do you
um,
remember being super scared?
oh my goodness, yes, I was like when I first got attacked in my first village. I mean, we went to the jungle, and there were like days where I would just be shivering like uncontrollably, and I can't get my nerves to calm down. And my aunt would hold me into her arms as close as
Yeah.
possible. But regardless of her comfort, I was still disoriented. She can hug me, rub my head, and then try to calm me down. But there was no way possible to calm down. It was just very hard to even control all the fear that was taking over my little tiny body,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, having to cry for my mom. And I couldn't cry because we had three rules, don't make noise, and
Mm.
uh, at all, even if you have to poop or pee or a mosquito bites you, no noise, and you have to be quiet. Can't make no sound. You can't be sneezing. Um, yeah, we have so much, like, we're just very, very cautious of everything, and we don't want to do anything to signal the rebels to come our way at all.
Right.
So I learned to
Move in
not
silence.
cry, yeah, not cry when something bad's happening, but instead of hold that in. And I learned to just hold pain and fear and just hold it in, don't let it out. So I was trained from that time just to be that way. Um,
Huh.
so
Okay. I'm gonna
it's
come back to that a little later. Okay. So,
a lot, huh?
yeah. Okay. So you go through all this trauma, and I know at some point you do end up in the United States.
Yes.
And so, can you walk me through how that happened? Because when I saw your story, I'm like, how did they get out of that and then end up
Mm,
over here?
yeah. I mean, I would say, in all honesty, it's all God.
Mm,
It's all God that orchestrated all of these things to happen. Um, He does that. Sometimes we don't expect it, we don't want it, we don't need it, but He does it for His good. But fast forward, I got to my uncle's village. I mean, my uncle's town, and he couldn't take care of me, so he took me to another orphanage, and I had no idea what an orphanage was. I was like, "What is an
yeah.
orphanage?" He said, "This is where kids go who don't have families, or who have families, and if family can't take care of them." So I was like, "I don't want to go there. I want to stay with you."
Right.
And yeah, and he's like, "I can't do that." I said, "I need to stay with you. I can't go there." I'm begging him, pleading, and he said, "I can't." You know,
And are you still 7? Are we still like,
yeah, we're still
oh,
moving. We're
Jesus,
still
this is
moving.
all okay.
We're still moving. And then, he said, he said that, listen, I can't take care of you. I can't take care of you because I have to take care of myself. And he also had his own family to look after. And at a war, during a wartime, the more people you have together, the harder it is to keep everybody together.
That makes sense.
So he thought that the best thing to do would be to take me to an orphanage where I can be looked after by somebody else until the war is over. Then he can come and find me, or send my parents if he finds them to come find me for where I'm at.
Okay, so that was the
So I lived.
plan. Okay.
hmm So I lived in that orphanage, and that orphanage got attacked by rebels. So we fled from that orphanage to another orphanage in Monrovia, and that one also war erupted. So we moved outside of the city to another orphanage. This is third orphanage, and keep in mind, this is during a war. We have no supply of food, no supply of water, no supply of shelter, and it's about like 300 to 400 of us. It's a lot
That's
of
what I was
us.
just getting ready to ask you. Do you remember how many kids? And I'm sure
Oh
they have
yeah.
now, they have, it's hard to keep kids quiet. So I'm sure they have
hmm
babies,
Oh yeah.
toddlers.
Everything for every
Yeah.
age, even like teenagers, all was in this orphanage, just trying to escape because they did not want to be a part of the war. Because like the rebels were like recruiting, like kids, like my age or older, or
Ah,
teenage boys to join their group to fight. And being an orphanage provide a safe haven for us not to be a part of something like that.
okay.
Yeah. So, but at this orphanage I was at, I mean, it was in the heat of the war, and we had no supply, no food. And I tell you this, all we had for days was warm water and prayer.
More water and prayer. Mm,
Warm water and
and
prayer.
prayer.
That's what we drink, the warm water, and
And
pray over the
pray.
warm water and pray
My God.
for weeks, for weeks. And we were even going to the nearby abandoned farm and start digging into the ground to find roots
Yeah.
or rotten food or fruit,
Anything.
anything we can find to eat, to have.
My God.
Um, but then at that orphanage, we were there for a while to where I was really malnourished, and I was basically waiting for my turn to die. And I was done. I was like, I'm ready to go. I'm tired of suffering. I'm ready. And I sat there and watched me pull out worms from my bottom up, like worms, because I was so hungry, and like the worms are eating my body alive. I was alive. So I lived through that, and then went to another orphanage after that. And this one was in a swamp where, I mean, it was just algae, green, dirty, nasty. I mean, think about it, most diseases everywhere.
Yeah.
And this in the middle of a war. There's also dead bodies everywhere scattered around. You can see them, you can smell them everywhere. And I mean, I'm 7 years old again, having to experience all of this. So from that orphanage, I went to another orphanage again,
Yeah.
and this was the last orphanage I went to. And at this orphanage, it was a Christian orphanage that was ran by a Christian organization this time around. And it has somewhat of a resource, but not a lot of resources
Mhm.
for all of us because there's so much of us. Um, but one of the greatest things that the orphanage had in place that really impacted my life was at the orphanage in the morning or at nighttime, we had devotions.
Mm.
And during devotions, he had the option to stand up and say a testimony as to what God is doing in your life and what you're grateful for. Or you can get up and sing a song, as part of that as well. So most nights I would get up and say something, but one night I felt led to sing a song, and when I did that, my other friend joined in, and he and I, another guy joined
Do you
in, and
remember what
next thing you
song it
know,
was?
um, it was a song called "Still Have Joy." It's
Mhm.
called "Still Have Joy." After all
After
the
all the
things we've been
things,
through, we still
still have
have
joy.
joy. Yep.
My God. A little boy gets that.
Yep.
Still have joy.
Still have joy.
So you're
Still
in
have
this
joy.
Christian orphanage, and is this how you end up in the United States?
Yep. So the
Oh,
choir.
the
So
choir. Okay. It just
yeah,
clicked for me. Okay, go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So then my friends and I formed a boys choir. But initially, our goal wasn't to come to America. Our goal was just to, create that for ourselves to, use it as a way to, praise God and thank God for what's doing in our life, but to also pass time, because we had nothing else to do besides just being in an orphanage all day and, playing soccer or playing the dirt.
But
So
at
we
least
just use
now,
this.
because I feel like now you feel a little safe. You're
Hmm.
eating, you're you're getting some nourishment. You've
Right.
now you're with friend. Now these young men that are with you, you don't know them. Well, like you didn't know them
I don't know.
before. Like,
I don't know any of them. None of them. I don't know them. They don't know me. But I'm in this orphanage where we all, I mean, I was there for a while and we all became
right,
friends.
sure. Cause
And we had a great buddy system to where if I'm older, I have someone else younger than me I look after.
okay,
So that's kind of how it was set up. But fast forward to our boys choir, we just started singing in the community, in the neighborhood, just for fun, and to raise money, to get some few bucks to buy out some food,
yeah,
up the street, just to feed ourselves. That's what we're doing it for. We wasn't doing it for America. We had no idea that it was going to bring us to America one day. No clue. Until one day, Pastor Kofi, who runs the orphanage, has connections to other friends in the in the U.S. and Canada,
okay,
and some of these missionaries came to the orphanage and he asked us to perform for these
okay.
missionaries, our boys choir. And we did really well. And the missionaries were very, very impressed. And they made a great suggestion to him that it'd be awesome to bring these boys, us, to America to share our testimony, our story, to raise money and awareness for our brothers and sisters back in the orphanage. And before you know it, in a year time, we were here in America,
Okay.
you know?
Hold on. Now I need this experience because you just talked about everything that you went through. Now you can go get on an airplane.
Yeah, talk about that. Airplane. I was an airplane. What is an airplane? I've seen them in the sky before in Africa. I'll look up in Liberia. I said, what is that thing in the air? And it looked so smooth, just flying. I had no
Yeah.
idea what
So
it
what was
was.
that like?
Oh, it was scary.
Ah,
It was so scary. I was scared. I was like, man, I'm about to leave this country to go to another country. Would
yeah.
I ever come back to this country? Would I ever like if my parents I found them and try finding me, how would I get in touch with them? So it's a million questions going through my head at this time. Well, I got an airplane and it had all these fancy seats you had to sit on. and we were just Liberian boys, like, like street boys. We just loud and loud can be, man. We're just loud, like everyone just like they look very uncivilized. But we didn't care. We didn't care.
How old are you at this point?
I was about I was about 15 now at this time.
Okay, some years ago. Wow, you
Years
did that
ago.
for some years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so around 15 now. Yeah, y'all are real rambunctious. Y'all are.
Oh yeah, we were basically family. All of us like were little kids when we met each other. So basically, like this, my brothers now. My brothers.
Wow.
So
where do you land in the United States? Like when? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we landed in Washington D.C.
The capital of all places.
Of all places, and the reason I say that is because it was around winter time when we got here.
Oh, okay. So now you get to be cold.
Oh my Jesus! Oh my Jesus!
You never experienced that.
No, we heard about America. We heard about America. It's called the cold in our country. Okay. The cold. But we didn't know it was going to be like extreme.
Was it snowing?
Cold. Yeah, it was snowing, and it's our first time seeing snow. Yeah. Just like, oh my God, this is so cool, but so scary at the same time. You know, we step out of the airport with all our clothes and our little T-shirt on, African shorts on, like all cool, and then we step outside, and next you know it's like, oh my gosh, you know, we roll right back in and grab everything and put it on us. Jump in a van, like shivering. Oh no, take me back to Africa, please. No,
take me back to Africa because I'm cold.
It is, man. It is extreme. It was so cold on our bones.
Okay, so here's another thing, because I am in my brain. I'm thinking about everything you just told me. Now you're on the airplane. Now you're at a hotel.
Mm-hmm. So we went to a hotel. We didn't go to a hotel. We got off the airplane, and then our driver came and picked us up.
Okay.
And the very first stop was at KFC.
Oh.
KFC. So.
And what did you think?
Man, it was beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, the landscape looked nice.
Yeah.
Cars organized, looked clean. In the rapid around line around the corner. And we're like, wow, what's this place? And I thought it was an African restaurant, like a fancy African restaurant. And yeah. And then our bus driver got out of the car and he's like, all right, let's get out of the car, let's go. So we all got out of the car and went to KFC and got inside, and we just standing, like we don't know if we should sit or sit down. We don't know in the manners or
just little
etiquettes.
Things that we take for granted because it's just you just don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We just standing there watching everybody, have no idea what's going on, and then in the corner of my eye, I see our bus driver showing up with a tray. This thing I learned to call a tray.
Yeah.
With a buckets of chickens on them. So he just sat them down. He was like, have at it, boys. And our eyes got like, whoa, what is this? And they were like, oh, it's fried chicken. Fried chicken. Because we never have fried chicken. Everything no, we cooked everything like we cooked it. Whenever the fry, we cook it. You know, sometimes we fry fish, but not really chicken. So, but this was like next level chicken. Oh, yeah, where I'm from.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, most meals we prepare is cooked. Not like baked or like we don't have ovens and stove and all those things. I didn't come from that. So it was strange. It was new for us, but we devoured that bucket of chicken, like killed it. And I kept a piece and put it in my pocket to take with me.
Now you got grease on your clothes.
I didn't care. I mean, I've had dirt and more and worse on my clothes. I didn't care. But like the reason I took that was because in Liberia, there was like always a shortage of food. We'll never know when our next meal will come, and we'll know when our next food will come.
Sure.
So when I got to America, though I had a whole bucket with me, I still had a scheduled mindset that, hey,
this might be it. But the whole time I'm here.
For the whole time I'm here for a few weeks. So I put a napkin, the chicken napkin in my pocket. And I'm got in the bus and I look at a window, just watching all the cars go by, like different colors, different shapes. And I'm wondering, how come the cars are different colors? Because in Liberia, most of the cars are all yellow with writings on them, you know? Yeah, because everyone do what they call campaign or cat work or taxi
That's
work.
what I was just going to ask you. Are they taxis?
Hmm
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, taxis, but it's used as your personal property as well. And you also write your like a verse or Bible verse, your favorite quote on a car. It's all different, you know. But now I came here, no one writing a car. I'm like, no one writes on their car.
No.
What's going on with these people? So it was so different. It was different. But yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then we what else? And then we got to singing, and we've been here for a whole year.
Oh, wait
And
a
it was
minute. You were here for a whole year?
oh yeah, we came for a
They
tour for a whole
came
year
for
tour.
it. So were you going from state to state?
Yes, ma'am.
You came for a tour. This choir was that good. They took you all on tour.
Oh yeah, we were on tour, tour South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Minnesota, Tennessee, North Carolina, everywhere. We were everywhere. High schools, golf courses, breakfast club, dinner,
And you
hospital,
know what I'm
gas
still thinking
station.
about though? None of y'all have gone to school.
No,
Nobody's going to school. You're just
no,
doing this.
we were doing this. But back in Liberia, we were in school. Um, Pastor Kofi had a school that he created for us.
Okay.
But the bad thing about that is there were times where we'll be in school for, let's say, 3 to 6 months or a year, and then another war will break out.
Mm,
And when a war breaks out,
stop.
then we'll be out of school for another couple of years.
Sure.
So even when I came here, I was 15, 16 years old, and my adopted parents did a academic test on me to see where I was
Hold
placed.
on, we gonna get there.
And
Hold on, hold on. We gonna
okay,
we gonna get there. Hold on. Cause
okay.
okay. So you're doing this tour, and I keep talking about the education because I want the listeners to understand that you're what you're doing and what you're not able to do because of what was going on. So you go on tour for a year. Do you go back to Liberia after this tour is over?
So that was the plan. The plan was for us to go back to Liberia,
But
but um, we couldn't go back. We couldn't go back. Reason being is the orphanage I came from was being attacked
mm,
again by rebels, and it was being burned down by rebels. And they were looting, they were raping the girls, they were taking the little we had, abusing the staff and doing the worst. So, and at that time, if we could have stepped off the airplane and get to the airport, like on the airport, we would have been shot and killed point blank, no questions
definitely.
asked. They don't care about it simply because we came from America, we'll come back to Liberia, and they will make up any reason, whatever reason it is, just the final reason to kill us.
Did you want to go back?
No, I didn't want to go back.
Mm.
I did not. And neither did my friends. We didn't want to go back to that lifestyle, to having to be in terror all the time and running for your life. And so we just prayed that God will open a door for us. And at one of our concerts, our last concert
Mhm.
of the year, and the God did the most profound thing for me and for the other guys in the choir. So keep going,
Keep going.
keep going.
What
I would love to
happened
keep
at that
going.
last concert?
Yeah. So prior to the concert, Pastor Kofi sat all of us down, and he gave us the news about the orphanage and what's happening. Give us an update, what's happening, and that really did bother us a lot. And it was a burden on our shoulder because we were here working so hard to make sure our brothers and sisters back home have food and have clothes, have shelter, and to realize like all the things we're doing here.
Because let me ask you a question. Hold on. When you're touring and doing all this, are you guys getting paid? Like,
We are not getting paid personally.
okay,
We are not getting paid. So everything we did was for the orphanage back home. So if we go
got
to
you.
a church or any
So it's
organization
kind
to
of like
perform,
missionary work type thing. Okay, I
hmm
got you. I
yeah, so
got
they
you.
would donate X amount of clothes or
Sure.
shoes to us, and that would be given back to the kids in the
Got
orphanage.
you. Okay. Okay.
hmm So, but after Pastor Kobe sat us down and gave us that news, that really broke our heart.
Mm.
It really broke us apart, and it got to us to the point where we all started crying. That our friends back home were being hurt. And our home was being destroyed. And then we did our performance on stage, and our room manager got on stage, and the pastor got on stage, and pleaded with the crowd and give them an update on our life, what's going on in our life, what's happening in our country, and see if the church is willing to help us in a way possible, through adoption, through sponsorship, or just simply a prayer. But not.
Adoption. Hold on, hold
Mhm.
on. In this moment, do any of you know what adoption is?
We are familiar with adoption,
Okay.
but none of us were good looking enough to be adopted. So,
Wait, what?
you know how you see the adoption thing where you see all the little cute babies, like, adopt me, and
You
it's so cute,
said
and
none of us were. That's hilarious.
we're not the cute babies to adopt. We were
Sure.
already 15, 14,
15,
15,
yeah, grown boys, if you
Yeah,
will. Yeah. I get it. I
yeah.
get it.
So
Okay,
no,
go ahead. And okay, so he's talking
so
to the crowd.
yeah, talking to the crowd, and there was a woman in the crowd, who's hearing this, and God is speaking to her, and she's like, la 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 la, I don't hear you, God, la, 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 I don't want to hear you, and we all tend to have that kind of mentality from time to time when God's speaking to us,
Absolutely.
right?
Because I don't want to do
Um,
it. Nope. Yeah.
exactly. But she has a great heart. She has a beautiful heart, and she listened to God that day, and through that process, we were able to meet her. Me and my brother Mark, we met her, and we called her mom. And it was a profound moment. We didn't know her before. We never met her before. But when we saw her, it was like, you know how you see movies, like you see a light, just like a connection, just sparks.
Mm.
It was like that for me and her, my brother, and we just called her mom, and she felt like we belonged to her in a way.
Okay, hold on. You got to
Um,
put a pin in it because you're using the term "my brother." So
yes,
Mark is someone that's in the orphanage with you. He's on this tour with you, but all of you were
hmm
so close. Now you're like brothers.
brothers. Yeah. So
Okay.
Mark and I were best friends in the choir, but he was a different tune. I sang a different. I sing tenor. He sing, I think, alto, but we're very close.
Okay.
Uh, but he and I were best friends, and we became adopted together in the same family. So now we became brothers. So I call him brother now.
Okay. I just had
Yeah.
to, because
So
you said it, and I'm sure people are going to be like, his brother? I thought he didn't know what
yeah,
his family was. Yeah, just trying
that's
to
right. Yeah.
clear it up.
So good clarity. I love that. So, but Mark was my best friend in the choir, turned brother. So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, so that's when it happened. That night happened, and we met my mom, Lisa, for the first time. And
That night?
that night, we met her. But she didn't tell us that, hey guys, I'm gonna adopt you. I'm gonna
Sure.
take you home with me. She just met us and gave us a hug and just spent time with us and just loved being around us. And then the next day she came back to our house where we're living at in South Carolina, grabbed me and Mark and took us out to go shopping and got some clothes for us, you know, um, other things we never had before. And me
How
and
do
Mark was like,
you, right. Go ahead. I think you're about to
yeah,
answer my question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. Mark and I was like, oh my gosh, who was this lady? She just like doing all this for us. And we were so happy because back in the orphanage, when other missionaries come to adopt kids and bring them to America, they bring them all these clothes and shoes and different cool stuff to make them feel happy. And now we were going to experience that. I was going to experience that,
Oh,
but here in America,
okay, so here's my next question. For the people that don't know, Lisa is white.
yes.
So, coming from where you've come from, did you have a lot of experience with white people?
No, 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 we did not. Even in the village, growing up, I didn't know that a country like America existed. I had no idea any other countries existed, or I just thought it was just us in the village, and that was
That was
life.
life.
That was life.
Everybody was living
Yes.
like that as far as you were concerned.
Yeah, because we didn't care about what's happening. All we cared about, like I said, were our people and our farm
In the
and our land,
community. Yeah.
our community. That was it.
Wow.
That's what we cared about.
Wow. And now you're
Um,
being exposed to.
a whole different world. Yeah. So my first exposure to, I would say, white people was when I was in one of the orphanages, and next to the orphanages was, I would say, like a compound that's right next to us, and in this compound was some light skinned people. in Liberia, we called them light skinned because we had no idea what white people were. So we just called them light skinned.
Ah,
Yeah. So
okay.
so called them light skinned people.
Which
So
is
because
which is crazy because I know you know now when a black person
yeah.
says light skin, that's not what we're talking about. That's so interesting. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we had this light skinned people that live in this nice fence, fenced in.
Sure.
They had a dumpster, a trash can outside of the yard, so they dump all their leftover food or plastic fork and plastic plates and everything else and pan. And I and my friends would go there and dig in that trash can,
Mm,
try to find anything to eat, any leftover
yeah.
we can find to eat. And that's when I learned like what a fork was and what a spoon was,
Huh.
and all of this thing. I had no idea what these things were. Because all I knew in the village were our hands, like
Yeah.
SPOON, spoon.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
take me on this shopping trip.
Oh man, shopping trip, man. She took us, I think, to Walmart or Goodwill. I don't remember.
Okay.
But we had so much fun, just being in the car, in a nice car. It wasn't a nice car, but to us it was a great car,
Sure.
you
It wasn't
know.
a taxi. It was,
No, it was in
it wasn't
yellow, so it was
yellow.
beautiful. And she was so kind and so generous and so sweet and so thoughtful and just was all about us and into us, into our story and just want to be there for us, And I can see it in her face and on her heart. It was just so pure. And my brother and I saw that. So we had a good time. She took us shopping, bought some clothes and everything else. And then got back to the house in South Carolina. And all our friends was like, man, you got some new
Yo.
shoes. You got this, you got that. I said, yeah, boy, you better watch out. I'm going to be gone, you know?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I'm fast forwarding just a little bit more.
Mhm.
How long between that first meeting with Lisa and how long does it like when do you realize you're gonna get adopted?
Well, I mean, my brother and I kind of figured uh, that she would adopt us after the shopping trip.
Okay.
Because we're like, no one else has taken me and my brother shopping just by ourselves.
Sure.
Other people has taken us as a group to Goodwill and other places to buy clothes,
Mhm.
but she took me and Mark, my adopted brother, best friend turned brother, specifically to go shopping. So that was the intent behind that, and we knew that, and we loved it, and we vibed really, really well with her family, with her daughters. So yeah, it was just all beautiful. It was great, and we couldn't complain about it. We're very grateful that God answered our prayer
Mhm.
for us to be in a position where somebody is thinking about us and want to bring us home. You know? Yeah.
I would love to talk to your mom, but I digress. 'Cause I would love to hear her side.
Her side.
Yeah.
Oh man, you should. She's great.
Okay, so you get adopted. Now, a real whole now you're in this a house, you have a bed, because you've been in the jungle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and you're teenagers that have not been in school. So
hmm
now, take me through. You get tested.
Now, yes. So my mom, she's great. She's so organized and she's about it. And one of the first things she did for us was to get tested, to see where me and my brother Mark placed in the American school system. And came to find out, me being 15-year-old, I tested at a kindergarten level education.
Wow, wow, wow.
Kindergarten level education. I was disappointed. I was very hurt, and I felt like an idiot because back in Liberia, I was very smart. I was on top of my class. I was one of the smartest guy in the class. But then I came to America. I'm like, what the heck?
Mm,
What's going on? Because the school system is so different.
sure.
In Liberia, we take notes with pen and pencils and chalk on the board.
Mhm.
That's how we take notes. We don't have textbooks. We don't have computer classes or computer labs. We don't have all these fancy tools we use here in America, compared to there. So we didn't have that. But when we found out I was on that level, I was devastated, but I was also very motivated, that, hey, listen, Yeah, I mean, whatever kindergarten level education. But guess what? I'm in America. I'm here, and I'm going to do what I can to be at the right level in the right grade. So
So
I
how,
took my
yeah, what do you do to,
yes.
or what
So
does your mom do? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my mom was devastated too. She was sad, but she's very, very, very intentional. She was very intentional about making sure that we get caught up. So her and her other friends who were adopted from Liberia as well all formed a group where they homeschool us together. And then we all went to a homeschool school outside of our house. We were going to socialize with other kids who were homeschooled as well.
So are you
And through that,
socializing not only with the group you were traveling with, but now you're being intermingled with other children?
yes. So the group we're traveling with, my boys choir, they all got adopted
Mm-hmm.
as well in
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte, North Carolina. We all got adopted in Charlotte, North Carolina. All 12 boys got adopted in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So that's a miracle in itself. And we all went to that homeschool school and we played soccer, we played basketball, we played different sports, just getting us accustomed to a whole different world. And that's something good my parents did for us. So I enjoyed that. It was awesome.
So I have two questions. My first question is, are you ever being exposed to anything else concerning your culture? Um, like the type of food that you had. Well, when you were able, when life was good,
Yeah, yeah,
the type of
yeah,
food that you would have had in Liberia, just the culture. Or
yeah.
are you now just kind of, now you're just here, and I'm learning their way and this world, and my new life. What
Yeah.
does that
I
look
mean,
like?
it was both. I mean, I was learning this new world, this new life, because this is my new life now. I have to learn it. I have to make sure
Absolutely,
that I
because you
pay
got to
attention to
navigate it.
be
Absolutely.
right. I have to navigate where I'm at and learn to adapt where I'm at. But my parents did a great job by making sure that my culture was celebrated in the home. They
I
allowed us
love
to make our African food.
that. I
Yeah, we
love
made our African food
that.
in the house. It stunk in the whole house. And my mom and my mom would be like, "Boys, what are you making?" We're making African food, mom. Okay, we're done cleanup. She
Yeah.
was so kind about it, very, very kind about it. And we have African events she'd take us to, and we had another African guy who came before us, much older, that he mentored me and my brother and other adoptees as well. So she did a great job by connecting us
I
to our people who
love
are in the
that.
community.
And I asked
Yes,
that question because I talked to a lot of people that were raised by another race and
hmm
they didn't get that.
yes,
So,
it's possible.
yeah, they
It's
they
possible.
didn't they when they became adults at that point did they started trying to dig and
hmm
figure out who they are, their culture. So I
Yeah.
love that you were never that she did that. That's amazing. I
hmm
love that.
Yeah.
And then my second thing is concerning your education. She gets you on track because I know at this point in the game you have a college degree.
Now I
I
do.
know.
Now
So
I do.
what steps did you have to get there? So you're 15, 16, and at a kindergarten level. How old were you when you graduate from high school?
I was in my 20s when I graduated high school.
So,
And there are times where I felt very ashamed because I was the oldest in most of my classes. And, um, but I didn't care. I didn't care because, I mean, I didn't look like my age, first of all. But I was also very like, man, I'm so old, all these little kids in here.
but let me tell you why I love that you're talking about this because we got kids that are the right age and they just take this
Mhm.
all for granted. And you didn't do that. You understood, like they say, you understood the assignment.
Yes, I did. I did.
And so
I did.
I just want to put that out there. Don't take it for granted because everybody doesn't get this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so you
Yeah.
graduate high school and then had the nerve to go on to college.
Yeah, but it was not easy. It was not easy. It was not easy. Even coming to a school, it was a 4A high school, so it was mostly all white students in this school. It's in Weddington, North Carolina. It's a very wealthy, rich place to be. and me and my brother were probably like the only ones in most of these classes. But for me, it did not bother me. I didn't care about it. I was just focused on what I was doing. I had this drive that, hey, listen, I have to finish school. I have to make sure I go back to help my family one day. I have to finish my dad's dream, my dad's goal. I have to push myself. I don't want to be left behind, and I don't want to be a statistic.
Oof. One. Yes.
I did not want to be a statistic. That's my biggest thing, because I heard a lot about how Black people can't read, Black people can't write, or Africans are this, Africans are that. And I did not want to be those things.
Yeah.
So I put myself in a position where I wanted to win big, and before I graduated high school, I was given the highest award, and that was the student. It's called the Excelsior Award, which is given to the student who is the most improved student with the best character in a 4A high school.
I can see that.
Where I don't belong.
Oh, you absolutely belong, because God said.
God said that I belong. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna put a pin in the education piece.
Do it.
I'm gonna ask you something else. So, do you start dating?
Because
you're at that age.
Yeah, I thought about dating, but it was so hard for me to date because, like, I didn't know what love was.
Ooh.
I didn't know what it meant to love because I've never been shown love before. I don't know what love was. I don't know how to receive love. I don't know how to give love. So why would I want to do that? And people question me, like, Jackson, are you sure you're not on the other side of the fence? I was like, I'm not. I said, I'm not. I mean, I was still very shy and still very insecure. I was still very insecure, not confident in myself and who I was.
Sure.
And trying to talk to an American girl or Black girl or white girl or Asian girl, I was like, man, they're gonna tell me no, so I might as well not even try.
Well, let me ask you this: what did you think? Who was catching your eye? All the girls? Not person, but like, what did were they Black girls or white girls or Asian girls, whoever?
All the girls. I just saw them. I was like, oh wow, she's pretty. Oh wow, she's cool.
All the girls.
But my type was people who were like very just kind and sweet and nice and driven, motivated, had a good head and shoulder, and cared a lot about other people. And my brother and I did this really well in high school, where we were during lunchtime in the cafeteria, we would go and hang out with kids that no one wants to hang out with. Those are our friends. We went and hung out with them and spent time with them, and then we loved that. So, but dating was not something that we really thought about much. I mean, we wanted to, but.
So, did your dad, your adopted dad, did he step? Because a lot of times the father will step in and be like, "All right, boy, so this is what you do. This is how this is." Did he try and guide you and be like?
Oh, that's a good question. So that reminds me. So one time, my brother and I went to my dad. I was like, "Hey, Dad. I mean, we knew his response, but we just gonna pick on him and see what he says. So because we know he don't have game at all. So we just we know we don't have game. So we're just trying to test his nerves and see what he says." So my brother and I went to him. We're just like, "Dad, that's the girls we like, but we don't know how to talk to them. What do you suggest?" And he was like, "Well, son, that's a good question. Just tell them that you're beautiful and they're made in the image of God, and that's it."
Oh.
I said, "Well, that's kind of good, but what else do you say?" So, but that was his response, and I mean, he was right. Like telling them beautiful and made in God's image, which is true. But that was his game, and we tried that.
How'd that work out for you?
I don't know. And they were like, "Oh, that's so sweet, Jackson. Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet, Jackson. You're so sweet." Friend zone. I was like, "Man, Dad, come on, bro. I need a better game than that, dude." So, boy, he is awesome. Man. He's a great, 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 great dad. And I mean, he taught us so much, not just that, but a lot of things in life. So
I want to ask something else about you, because now you're in America and you're being exposed to all this television, which you didn't have, music that you didn't have. So what are you falling in love with when you get here? What kind of music do you like? And
Well, growing up, you wouldn't believe this. I was a huge fan of Usher in
Huh. Well, I
Liberia.
get it though. I
Yeah,
understand, but
yeah. In
really,
Liberia, I'll be watching my clothes on a washboard, like how you do back in the day with a washboard,
yeah.
and then we have our Walkman or either like the boom box with a cassette.
So you didn't
Well,
have TV, but you had radio.
in Liberia, we have radio,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So and then we'll play out a cassette, and then we'll when we're washing our clothes and hanging up, listen to Usher and hanging our clothes in the line as we watch them on Sundays. I listened to that, and then when I got here, I got exposed to even more of the
Sure.
music, like Christian rap or
Yeah.
more Christian worship music. So like the option was unlimited, So it's just so much, but I just enjoy listening to a lot more Christian music and a lot more positive music.
Hmm.
It don't have to be Christian per se, but
Sure.
as long as it's positive,
Positive.
and it got a good message to it, I'll give it a listen for sure. Uh,
Okay. I just wanted to know because I understand,
yeah,
like, your story is just in the back of my head, and then it, it's so vivid. I'm just walking you, excuse me, visualizing you walking
yeah,
this path. So I know you have a book coming out.
I do.
What inspired the book?
Well, what inspired the book is all these amazing stories I've told you about, and all the things that's happened in my life. From the day I stepped into America, I had this nagging longing to tell my story,
Mm.
but I wasn't sure how or when I was going to do it, you know, um, because I know that my story would be so impactful.
Absolutely.
And I've met so many people I've told the story to just in passing or just like, meetings or work friends. But I realized that if I can share it on a much larger scale, it'll
Absolutely.
have much greater impact to more people. And I am just an instrument, that God's used to write His story. And every time I spoke to somebody about where I was from or the piece of my story, they were wowed about it, and that gave me the encouragement and motivation to say, "Wow, I just blessed that guy. I just blessed that lady. What if I wrote my story out and gave it to somebody else to have a copy of that?"
Sure.
You know, and but also I did that for another reason to heal from some of this trauma that I have faced and went through and lived through, as I mentioned earlier.
Hmm.
Some of this past is very hard to visit. It hurts to visit, but in order to move forward in life, we have to go back to those moments that cause us to have a traumatic experience or whatever it may be and deal with that moment. But not by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. You cannot. Seek counsel, find a trusted friend, go to church, read your Bible, pray a lot, and write your story out. And I wrote that, and writing that process, during our process, I learned to relieve a lot more of the anger I had,
Mm.
the hatred I had, and the way I view myself as abandoned, as a war orphan, as adopted. I changed my identity right now to chosen, love, a father, a provider, someone who's a positive role model to so many people, as son of God. I am all those things now. So all this inspired me to want to go and deal with that so I can come back and be the full person that God has been preparing me to be at this day and age.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Oh my gosh. Have you been back to Liberia?
I have several times.
Okay.
I have, and I love it. It's beautiful. It's home.
Do you talk about
Always will be in my heart.
and do you talk about that in the book?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if y'all
I'm
want
not
to
going to say
hear,
anything
I
else.
literally was just getting ready to
I'm
say, if
not.
y'all want to hear about his trip back to Liberia, y'all got to go get the book.
Ooh, y'all better go
Y'all
get your
got to get the
copy.
book. He's given a lot of little nuggets,
Little
and we didn't
nuggets. This is
even
just little
dig.
nuggets.
Right? We were surface. This was a surface
Mm-hmm.
conversation. He didn't
Yeah.
even dig. So y'all got to go get the book, and then you
Mm-hmm.
can find out what happened when he went back to Liberia. Because we're not telling you nothing else. Because I know y'all
Yeah,
have
please.
questions.
Please do. And the title of the book is The Only Way Forward is Back. The Only Way Forward is Back by Jackson Terkeurst. So I'm on Amazon, Books a Million, Barnes and Nobles. You can pre-order. It's available for pre-order right
Available for
now.
pre-order.
And
And
I'm
what
trying
date? And it drops July. Is that still correct? July 1st?
July
Okay.
1st. July 1st is drop day, and I am chasing a major milestone right now to sell 400 pre-sale order copies.
Well, come on.
400.
Y'all heard him. 400 pre-sale copies. So go to Amazon, go to wherever you buy your books, and make sure you purchase your books. Now, are you also, I can't talk. Are you on Audible? Have you done the recorded version?
Oh, yeah. I did I think 4 days of Audible recording here at my house.
Because I love to listen to books.
It's going to be my voice. You can hear this voice.
Yes.
My name is Jackson Terkeurst.
So my friend Kathy is laughing at me right now because she knows how I feel about Audible, but she's an author as well. And I am going to connect to it. You don't worry.
Please do.
I will. And a fellow adoptee. And so, yeah. And I need an Audible. So I'm so excited that you did that. Thank you. That was for me.
I had to.
That
was for you. I did that with you in mind. Because you know what though? You know what, Trish? Because like Tars, it's like I don't really I like to read, but I like to listen more than reading.
I do too, because I can
I like to listen.
Visualize, because I can hear, and I'm so glad that you're the one narrating your own story.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I can just hearing you talk right now, and I know this was very surface on purpose, but I know this was very surface, so I can't wait.
Oh, my friend, you're in for a treat.
Wait, I'm so excited.
I bet you, when you grab this book, you can read it in less than 2 days.
Oh, I'm sure.
You will not move. And most people who I've sent an advanced reader copy to, like other media outlets and family friends, they've all haven't put it down. Like literally grabbed it and just keep going next. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
What happened next? What happened next?
Yes.
Right.
So get ready. Put on your seatbelt and get you a copy of my memoir, my personal story for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate
Thank you.
You are a storyteller. Because just this conversation, you had me by the throat, and I'm like, what?
Thank you, T. Thank you so much. I mean, that means a lot.
So, like we said, please go get the book, go get the book, go get the book. And hang on, don't go anywhere. Hang on. And on that note, bye, family.
Journey on. You need a pie, what they get good? Oh yeah, what is the one?